All right, so this vegetarianism is something that we all struggle with because we do have friends and relatives and whatnot, and we have workmates and whatnots, and then when there will be times when we all get together somewhere, and it's always difficult. And meat eaters or carnivores, if I could call them that, always say, well, why are you eating that, and so forth. And they always try to convince you that it's not a good way to go, but it's just that they don't understand or they don't have the knowledge about the meat. So they always seems to try to get us to stray from our core values and try to get us to do what they want to do. And when we try to speak to them about it, there is always opposition. So there's many times people ask the question of what's the difference between a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle or diet, and they're always concerned about our diet. So to answer the question, there are three types of vegetarian. So we have the lacto-ovo vegetarian lifestyles and the lacto vegetarian or the vegan or vegetarian. So yeah, because why I say vegetarian, because lots of people say they're vegetarian and they are still eating things that do not fall under that category. So they probably are vegetarian socially. When they're with certain people, they try to eat certain way, but then in the background or in private, they're eating anything, especially meat and whatnot. So that's why I sort of put that term in to say vegetarian. So there are some vegetables or even besides the meat that we should not partake in. So early on it was mentioned, so I don't think I should have to go over it again. So, but being a vegetarian, as at the temple, we do not push or compel anyone to become a vegetarian. That's always a choice, and it is hard to do, but it's not hard, because I believe if someone wants to do something, they just do it. So if any of you here, that I think both of us here are vegetarians, but still I have to be general. So if you would like to become a vegetarian, you should just say, okay, I'm not gonna eat meat anymore. I'm gonna try to eat vegetarian lifestyle. Now, if you want to be a vegan, now I think a vegan is a little harder to do, because the criteria of a vegan is much different from a vegetarian, or a little higher sort of dietary lifestyle. So, but if you would like to become a vegetarian, it is good. So, and I always like to say that there is a greater healing inside of our bodies than any sickness. So, and if we're eating all the right things, I think that we were created with this power inside of us that we can overcome anything, because most of the diseases that humans are experiencing today have a lot to do with what we put in our mouths. So if we'd like to get over those little hurdles, I think the best way to go is adapt a plant-based lifestyle. Yeah, so it's up to us, or up to you, if you're not a vegetarian, what you should do. So how can we become a vegetarian? Some people become vegetarian gradually, right? While others may take a long time. But things that we could do, we could take one step at a time. One day we try not to eat any meat today, then we expand it by saying for a week, and after that we try a month, and eventually we'll feel that change in our bodies, our thoughts, our pattern, what we do daily, and then we could just go full and become a vegetarian. And while we keep practicing, then we can become a vegan. So ways that we could help ourselves is by having some connection with someone who is already in the practice or the lifestyle, and we'll be able to learn and understand a little bit more on how we can become a good or true vegetarian or vegan. So those connection, we could find out things like where to eat, where if we have to go out, where can we go, which restaurant is a good restaurant we could go to that will actually give us the right type of food, so they are not giving us a meal that still have animal products in it. So because if you're a vegetarian, then you should not be consuming any of those things. So there are so many things, there are so much people today that are vegan, to compare to past years where you had just a few people. Even some of the business places are putting organic on their signs, but it's just a catchy sort of stuff so they could get the people who are living that lifestyle to come into their stores to buy things. But so we as vegetarian, we should become good label readers to make sure that what we are buying and to consume, that they are real vegetarian products, and we are not including any animal products. So on becoming a vegetarian, right? So eating vegetarian, so we have to minimize the harms to animal, because why should we harm the animals? The animals didn't do us anything, but we find pleasure in eating the animals. So typically a vegetarian only is described by the food that one consumes. However, many vegetarians live similar lifestyles. A vegetarian lifestyle is much more than just a diet. Vegetarians strive to eat healthy and natural foods while avoiding animal products. So, like I said early on, we should actually learn to read the labels so we don't consume anything that has to do with animals. And it's hard to tell, because even though they have the product there and it says it's a vegan, you'll still see that they say in the bottom of their ingredients that this product is made by a factory or processed by a factory that does things with animals and so forth. So once we see that, that should be a trigger and a no, so we naturally don't buy those sort of things, right? So a vegetarian strives to eat healthy and natural foods while avoiding the animal products. At the same time, a vegan vegetarian strive in all aspects of their lives to avoid animals and animal products, including clothing and cosmetic products, household items, and of course food. So a vegan have to strive and restrict the animals free diet, in which is just one aspect of being a vegan. For most vegans, the transition from a standard diet to their new lifestyle happens in stages. So try to be a vegetarian first, and when you're accustomed to the lifestyle, then you could expand, because being a vegan requires lots of discipline. If you don't have the discipline, it's very difficult to actually stick to it, because there are lots of things, like for instance, a person go out to buy bread and the bread has milk in it. So if you're buying a bread and you're not reading the label, you don't know that milk is in there. And plus some bakeries use leavening or shortening, and the shortening was made by an animal product. So we have to be very careful what we're doing. So basically, if you're a bread eater, you love bread, why not bake your own bread? It's not that hard. Okay?
A lot of bread have honey in there.
And honey too, yes.
In the past, not that many, but now.
Yeah, no,
A lot of bread is animal.
Okay. So this concludes stepping through the number of or less strict vegetarian diets, and then stepping up to lifestyle changes. Once or more strict vegans, right? After becoming a vegan, there's special calmness and a sense of well-being that is achieved from abstaining from eating the flesh of sentient beings. Now, see, most of us see people today walking around with a dog, and actually a report just came out that they interviewed a lot of females, and they're saying they prefer to have a dog at home with them than a male, and they feel more comfort and so having a dog, and people are having the dog sleeping in the same bed and so forth. But then they have all this care about the dogs, or even a cat or so forth. But if you have that amount of care for, what about the other animals that you're sitting at your table and eating? So it's not adding up. So we have to be very careful of those things. All right? And plus, like, a dog sometimes have more rights or give more rights than a human. So you are walking and a dog come at you and you hit the dog with something, even a pocketbook, because you're afraid of the dog biting you. And the owner file a suit against you. You're going to lose in court because they think that you advantage the dog. But at the same instance that you're passing and you are not sure, and that person probably just run out of their homes, and you're feeling threatened, and you swing your pocketbook and hit that person. See, when you go, then that person is gonna still get little rights over you, right? But they will not give it, the fines will be different. So which one are we more favorable of, the dogs or humans? So so vegetarianism is a practice of minimizing harm to all animals, which require abstaining from animal products such as meat, fish, dairy, eggs, honey, gelatin, lanolin, wool, fur, silk, suede, and leather. Some call vegetarianism a moral baseline for animal rights activists. So again, why are we having all those people running around and saying, oh, there's so much animals on the street, and or people just abandoning their animals? What about all the homeless people? Why we don't put the same emphasis on those people and help them instead of the animals? See, the animals have their way of surviving. Humans is different, because human requires the same food, water, the air, and of course the rights or the ability to take care of themselves, right? So to not be advantaged by other people. So we have to be very careful about that sort of things. So eating meat causes calamities. Okay, so the more we eat meat, the more, and killing animals, things do happen. Yeah? Oh, okay. So there are two types of causation: natural causation and moral causation. Natural causation has nothing to do with people being good or bad. It is simply a matter of various forces of the universe acting on each other. The Buddha teaches of karma is only concerned with moral causation, being helpful to someone, having them thank you and feeling happiness because of that. Stealing something, getting caught, and then experiencing embarrassment or shame would be an example of moral causation. The person's happiness or discomfort are a direct result of how they have acted. The person is not being rewarded or punished for their action. Their happiness or discomfort is simply a result of their action. Basically, we reap what we sow. Okay. Vegetarian eats plant-based food such as grain, beans, vegetables, fruits, and nuts. Vegetarians have a wide variety of foods to choose from. The diet may seem very restrictive to those who are used to an omnivorous diet. Most carnivores would ask, "You just eat salad?" I'm sure most of you have been asked that question before. Okay. As a common question or comment from non-vegetarian. However, vegetarian diet can include a wide variety of Italian pastas, Indian, Singapore, and Caribbean curries, Chinese stir-fry, Tex-Mex burritos, and even meat loaf made from textured vegetable protein and beans. So the latest thing these days is the Beyond Meat and so forth, possible burgers and so forth. Alright, I've tried it and it do taste good. Yes. Beyond Meat. It do taste good, and I don't. The texture is good. The texture is good. Alright, and Whole Foods. Yeah. Alright.
Whole Foods they sell.
Yeah, Whole Foods. And
Expensive?
it's you get $6 and something for 2 patties. Alright, but I could tell you it's very filling. When I tried it and I ate the first one with my homemade bread, I was so full I could not eat anything for a long time.
Or beans.
Yeah, because it is made from the beans and so forth, so it's very filling and nutritious.
Now these guys are gonna get it.
Yeah.
Am I right?
So, yeah, because
Let's
it is.
have Beyond Meat barbecue. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
In your
Okay.
house.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah.
It's not less filling. It's
It's-
filling.
Yeah.
It's filling.
It is filling, right? So
You can grill it then?
yes, because I
So it
grilled
doesn't
it.
fall apart.
No, it don't fall apart. Yeah, right. Yeah. See?
So
Right.
you gotta tell Susan to get them.
Yeah.
No, you don't need it. Just go vegetables are better.
The what?
Why go to processed food?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
They want to eat the fake meat.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
No, but it's supposed to be good, all natural ingredients.
It's
supposed
all
to be
natural
supposed to be
ingredients.
pea
And
protein.
No, wheat
Yeah.
protein.
No.
The peat. Yeah. They don't have any wheat in it because wheat is a animal product. Yeah. Gluten free, right? Right? And the color came from beets, right? So that's why it have that reddish, meatish looking color, but it came
That's
from beet.
impossible burger. But Beyond Meat doesn't. It's not red.
No, it
Beyond Meat's red?
it have that meaty.
So it
It-
looks like it and it tastes like it.
Oh well, I don't know how if it tastes like it because I don't know how it tastes, right? But that Beyond Meat, it do have a nice taste, right? So many meats and dairy analogs is also now available in including sausages, burgers, hot dog, and chicken nuggets, milk. The same, when you say milk, don't get misunderstood, because milk meaning because it's whitey looking and so forth. But it talk about, you have soy milk, you have almond milk, you have cashew milk, you have coconut milk, and all those things, rice milk. Okay, so right, and it's better, and we're carrying nothing here, but I could tell you the milk that they're serving today is so bad, because it's affecting all the children. And today, most of maybe 80% of the children do have some type of medical or something is wrong with all the children. It's really, really bad today. See,
But because they contain a lot of antibiotics and
yeah,
from the
all
milk.
right.
Well, that's
See?
organic milk supposedly doesn't contain any of that.
Okay.
Supposedly.
See, so like in school, all the children who do not eat the school meals, and so they're so different, they're so calm and everything. But the children, as soon as they come in the morning, they're good, and then as soon as right after breakfast, they're off the hook. Alright, it's really, really bad. And then lunch, from that time to lunchtime, is really, really crazy, and it's just the milk. Okay, so cheese and ice cream. Also, if you love ice cream, you don't have to worry to say, no, I can't eat ice cream anymore. They're vegan ice cream
They
that
taste
you,
just
right?
like regular
Okay.
ice cream.
Yogurt.
Even
Yeah,
better.
yogurt, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vegan yogurt.
So they're all made without animal products. So vegetarian meals can also be rather simple and humble, such as a Caribbean style corn soup, right? Yes, even a big raw vegetable salad. So it's okay. People, they may call you a rabbit or so, but sometimes you have to have a salad. You may have to go out sometime for some function and there's nothing else to eat, so you could have a salad, but you have to be still aware of the fact that, especially if you have taken a vegetarian vow, that you have to be careful about the onions and so forth, because most restaurants do not prepare salads from scratch. They have the ingredients in packages, and most of the packages already have onions in it, so you have to be very careful.
What's a Caribbean corn soup?
See, you remember the last time I cooked and I made the corn soup?
No, I didn't have it.
Well, you don't stick around.
Oh, you don't stick around. Okay. Alright, so animal products sometimes shows up in unexpected places. So many vegetarians learn to become label readers, looking out for whey, honey, albumin, carmine, and vitamin D3. Right? So normally vitamin D3 comes from
Sun.
Yeah.
Sunlight.
No,
yeah.
vitamin D comes from the sun, but the D3, D3. Right? So most of it comes from the sea, the animal out of the sea, yeah.
Oh, serious?
Yeah,
D3?
yeah, with like shelled fish, or so so you have to be very careful. All right.
That's
Okay,
D3.
D3.
You mentioned other ones too.
You mean
So
the
you're gonna find a vegetarian.
No, yeah, you mentioned other.
other like albumin, carmine, and so
Oh, carmine.
the coloring.
Oh, that's
And
the bug
that's
thing.
the bug,
Yeah.
yeah,
I touched
right.
the bug thing.
yeah.
That's disgusting.
So you have to be very
It's
careful. Right?
Whey comes from milk.
Milk, yeah.
Milk protein.
Right. So, okay. So one might otherwise expect to be vegetarian. Reading labels is not always enough, or sometimes you have to end up, if you like a particular product, you might have to actually call the manufacturer to find out. And sometimes they will tell you, or they always give you a runaround. Say, okay, I do not have the information. I have to put you on to some other department or so forth. So we have to be very careful. So we may all become very choosy in what we actually purchase. So try to make sure that what we are purchasing and eating are always animal free. Okay. Some vegetarians also object to animal products being used to process beer and sugar. So how do we have beer and sugar have animal beer? You know, the beer,
I said
beer,
What, beer?
beer,
Oh, you
yeah,
mean the drinking
the
beer?
drinking beer. All right. So yeah. So okay, and sugar is a plant, and for some reason they have to get it white, like the white sugar that you buy. It's not just bleach, right? So they have bone stuff in it to get it that color, okay? But you don't get sugar that white, right? See? So but when you get it, naturally it just comes out like a tannish color. They cannot get it to be as white as it is, right? So it's
So eat raw sugar.
yeah, okay.
That's why they sell sugar.
Right.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you really have to use sugar and you want sugar, then use the molasses, because the molasses is the last stage before they start producing. They have to get the sugar. So the molasses is easier.
And what's in the beer?
They say the beer, the way they get the beer is that they use the same like the sugar. They use the beer to sort of enhance the what's that the thing called, that the plant stuff they use to make it actually hops, to get the hops to actually and it's a plant, but they use for it, the hops to really work, they use parts of the animal, some part of the animal.
Okay, so beer and wine.
Yeah.
They use some gland
Of the fit, yeah.
to clarify the wine.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Ew.
God, I used to drink a lot of wine.
Okay.
Is that why
A
you're
lot
still
of beer too.
hot?
A lot of Vanessa, man.
Yeah.
What's the best?
So
Beer.
yeah. So now that you've heard all of that, so
Lager. Well, there's three types of beer. Ale, lager, and stout.
Some beer has animal products.
yeah.
Are
So
you serious?
Yeah, yeah, in it. So you gotta check on the internet which brand are vegan.
okay.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, right,
Is there such
right.
thing as a vegan
Yeah.
beer?
No, I never did in my whole
There's
life.
non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah, non-alcohol. There's non-alcohol.
Yeah.
Happy Buddha beer.
Elixir.
So now that you've heard all of that, so personally I feel for the animals. How about you?
Yeah.
Alright, so because it's a bad situation. So this gentleman, Mr. Ellsworth, he is 105 years old. He's a doctor, right? And he is very adamant about plant-based lifestyle. Okay, and I like to, every time one of his video comes up, I like to listen to him because he makes a lot of sense. See, because as a doctor, and he's saying that we should not be eating anything that is not plant-based, because the meat that we're using, any animals, cause all the sickness out there, and especially because he's a heart specialist, and he's saying the things that he has seen, and it's all into the stuff that we're putting into our mouth. So he's advising people to get rid of, just stop eating the meat, any type of meat, or even that it does not say meat, but because the meat product is in it, if we stop eating it, we would really live a healthy lifestyle. The guy is still, it's over 100, and if you see him mowing his lawn, alright, and he's really, really healthy, okay, and
Shame on
so
you.
Okay, so, and that's because, I mean, like your son is taller than most people in here, and he was born a vegetarian, right?
No, he ate meat.
He ate meat.
Very little. I put it in his mouth, he would spit it out. Very
okay.
little.
So, so he thinks that Dr. Ellsworth thinks that the future is really into plant-based food. So if we listen to him, what you should try to look it up on YouTube and see, he has many videos out there. Okay, and recently, besides him, I don't remember the doctor, but he was speaking about again, most of the disease out there, not just from eating meat, but because, like I think we were saying earlier this morning about the people, the doctors are treating the symptom and not the cause. And he's a doctor, and he's saying, speaking out against his colleagues, because it's just a fact that they're not working for themselves. They say, I'm an independent doctor, but they're actually working for the pharmaceutical companies and the farmers. So they're advising that everybody should just go cold turkey and stop eating it, and because you're not going to get healthy. Because if you figure that you're going to get a prescription for one thing, when you think that you are good, there is always something else going to come up, because all those medicine was just designed to keep people going back to the pharmacies and so forth. So it's up to you, right? So just a little advice. So I got the sign, and I'm only up on my third slide, so I guess I also would have to continue on next time. Yeah, no, we have a dough ceremony. Yeah.
So you can keep going.
Also, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yes, I think it's a good idea. I could keep going, because
Do you have a video?
yeah, I will show you a video in a minute.
He registered.
Alright, so this morning lecture, Kai was speaking about philosophy, and so I guess everybody know this guy, right?
Hippocrates.
Right, okay.
Well, he's considered the
Father of Western medicine. No,
Hippocratic
okay,
oath.
oh yeah, that's the oath that you hear all doctors say they took this Hippocratic oath, but they are not following what his belief, or even though he is the father of it. Right, so you think to let your food be thy medicine and your medicine be thy food. So what does that mean? So why are we eating things that is going to make us unhealthy? We should not be doing that. Alright, and what he, like over 2,500 years ago, he, okay, so, and still today, and humans is still going straight. I don't know. I think Lecture Kai, do you know when humans start eating animals?
Oh, way back.
They discover fire.
When after that,
After
right?
Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah, after Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
They got kicked out of the
Kicked
Garden
out,
of Eden.
yeah.
Who's the apple?
Well, no.
Well,
It's the apple that
They
That-
got kicked out of the garden.
after that, right? Because they, yeah.
before that they
Yeah.
sushi too.
Yeah, because they were not conscious to even their own bodies. So that's why after that, then they became conscious, and they stopped being caretakers of the animals, and they figure, well, they didn't have anything, so they find a way to kill something here or there and for food. All right, so let's see.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing?
Don't you have to activate?
No.
Oh, that's
Okay.
it?
Yeah.
That's it. Isn't that it?
Yeah.
Top 10 protein sources for vegetarians.
Oh, that's not it. That's not
Proteins
it.
are the building blocks of body tissue and even give the body energy it needs to grow and
I
develop.
think the other, just there's a setting.
Yeah, you're
somewhere.
setting.
I think there's a.
Because of security.
Well,
Go to the very top.
no, I think it's sorry, not here.
No. further up.
Huh? Where's the setting?
Further right, very top, the 3 dots. I think that's setting.
This?
Oh,
No,
right
that's
there?
the
No,
browser
that's
setting.
Oh, that's
No,
browser
it's in YouTube. It's the
Yeah,
setting
you have to
somewhere.
go to YouTube. Yeah, the YouTube
There's
setting.
setting somewhere for that.
Oh, there it is.
Setting. Let's see here.
See the setting.
Where's
So much stuff here.
I forgot where. Oh, here's the restricted mode. Let's turn that on.
Too complicated.
Oh, let's turn. No, you can't do it. Can't do it from, not with this account. We have to change. We have to. Let's see. Go back.
So while we're waiting, any questions or comment in the meantime?
I have something to share.
Yeah.
So this past weekend, we had the Thanksgiving. We were hosting the Thanksgiving for 4 different families.
You did the cooking?
I did cooking.
We
So
are
I
not
did
invited.
it's families.
I thought we were Dow family.
Exactly. Don't distract.
Okay.
So anyway,
Oh.
4 families. 3 of the families, they decide, okay, we'll take the challenge and be vegetarian for the whole day. One family decides to eat before they came to our house. So they ate some things on
Unless you want to log into your account and try it.
One family
So
not
that one
eating,
didn't-
everybody else is
Skip
eating
it.
and coming with
Okay.
the food so good. You should
Okay.
try it.
Bit.
Yeah, you probably go. Skip that one.
Yeah, not eating more. But anyway, everyone enjoyed the food, and even though it was like lunch and dinner, they were hungry by dinner time, and they did agree that the meal was very good. So they just like, okay, so we're gonna host again Christmas. It's my
For the Dow family.
Yeah, we're invited.
here. So we're gonna do it again, but all of them agreed this time they're gonna come and not eat before they come.
Congratulations.
What day is that? What day is that?
Then just put it on the calendar.
What time?
So I was like surprised why they decided to eat.
You want to
Mention
crash
it.
the party.
Exactly. We're just coming
You
over.
can't
No, it's so I'll just skip that one.
By the way, yes.
Okay.
Jane, you're behind me.
Okay. So, so it's ironic that most of the animals meat eaters eat for food. The animals they eat only eat plant-based foods. Alright? So, but yet they're killing those animals. And see, when I say killing, even though you're going to the supermarket to buy the meat, you're still responsible. Okay? So if we don't go, then the karma will remain with the person who slaughter, the keeper of the animals,
Right, so
or
it's not just
the
the person killing
kill
the
it,
animal,
yeah.
but it's also the person eating
Eat
it,
it.
consumers. So,
Alright.
so you also have a responsibility.
Okay.
Oh, share.
Yeah. So these animals build a lot of muscles and strength, okay, and they become very strong. So they're only eating green vegetation, leaves from the trees, the grasses and from the ground and things like that. So their diet is just including only vegetables, okay. So it's an indication that we should be doing just like they are doing, because if we are speaking about reincarnation and so forth, there's facts that humans, some of us might have been an animal before, so, and we don't know what we're going to be when we leave this earth. So we should be cognizant of those facts and stop doing those things. So it makes me wonder, right, if protein supplements, as is trending today, if it, okay, if it actually necessary to build muscles, or if green vegetation and fruits have enough protein to suffice growth. So a cow is born and they have it in a stall, and it cannot sit, it cannot lie down, it just stands there. and they continuously inject that with steroids and whatnot, and grows, even though it grows, and eventually it falls on maybe both legs or one leg because it's so heavy it cannot sustain its own weight. So you have a cow going from 400 to 1,000 pounds or more. So sometimes I lift weight, and I'm lifting 500 pounds, and when I do 2-3 reps, I have to put the weight down. A gorilla, if a gorilla will take up an elephant, and it will carry it very, very far and put it down and then keep running or jump into the trees or do anything. No human could do those things, right? And these are vegetarians, okay? So these animals, like a cow, is fed on grass and soya beans. So if they become, yes, there is the inclusion of steroids and so forth, because they need that cow to go to the market very quickly. Okay, so what if you have a new child, and that child is how you call it, a preemie child? Preemie, right? Premature. And you're looking at that little thing smaller than your hand. Okay, would you like the doctors to inject that child with steroids to make it grow? You know, think about it. But then they're doing that to the cows and the chickens and whatnot, and the pigs, and then you go to the market to buy it. So what do you think that you are consuming? Those things are not leaving the body because the cows, the animals are not afforded the ability to run around, to exercise, to burn off those things. So that's why they become so fleshy, so they could go to market. So the weight of those animals is reliant on the steroids that they're getting. So even though they're eating the grass or the soya beans, and so that's just to sustain growth in their bodies. The steroids is only making it puff out. It's not growth. Okay, so we should actually try our best to abstain from those things. So that is one of the reasons why the children today also is behaving the way that they're behaving, because they are actually consuming the same steroids that the animals are being fed. So then we are passing and we see a child behaving badly on the street, and we say, oh, that mother is so bad, or they're not a good mother, they're not teaching the children properly. But then there are other elements behind the behavior of the children. So veganism extends from observing a vegetarian diet, which is a diet that exclude all animals and animal products of any kind, to an entire lifestyle that precludes animal products from all aspects of life. Additional to a vegetarian diet can be fantastic entry into experiencing better health. Vegetarian diet is associated with a higher consumption of fiber, folic acid, vitamin C and E, magnesium, unsaturated fat, and countless phytochemicals. This often results in vegetarians having lower cholesterol and being healthier, having lower blood pressure and reduced risk of heart diseases. So just ask questions about all the people in the hospital with heart diseases, or I'm sure we know people, they are meat eaters. Sometimes, yes, you may have a few people who might be vegetarian, but what is lacking? They are not doing any exercises or not even working hard, so their heart rate just remain at one level. So they need a vegetarian. Even being a vegetarian, we need to do something to to raise our heart rate and bring it back down. Raise it up, bring it back down all the time. So that is an clear indication why the animals should not be penned up. Okay, so I don't even like a zoo, because the zoo takes the animals out of their natural habitat and they're just penned up someplace and cannot do their proper exercises and so forth. So like Thursday we carried our class to the Prospect Park Zoo, and they have 4 different types of monkeys. They're all from South America. I didn't even know they have monkeys like that. And the space that they have is smaller than this room. Okay?
Wow, that's sad.
Okay, so, and you could see on their faces, they just go from there to there, and they're not happy because they're not in their natural habitat. So, and all the other animals. So that's one of the reasons why I stopped going to things like a circus show a long time ago. So just throwing that out. So when we go to the petrol station, like most of us here drive, so we go to the petrol station, and there in the petrol station have different type of gasoline. Okay, so you find petrol, diesel, regular, super, LPGs. The kind of fuel that we buy depends on the type of fuel that the vehicle runs on. Yes, some vehicles do not run on regular. Some vehicles just require that super gas to run. Okay, so think about it. So if we don't take the right type of petrol, not real petrol, but the stuff we eat, then we are not gonna function the way that we were made to function. So having the animals penned up again, and you're giving them extras, meaning besides giving them a superfood of grass and soybean, we are actually putting in a little extra LPG into their food, which is the steroids. So, and then they're not working it off. So naturally, they're building this bulk and then giving it to humans to eat. Where is it going? There are 3 macronutrients: protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Micronutrients provide calories for energy. The body requires large amount of micronutrients to sustain life, hence the term macro. So carbohydrates, I put water in because why? Water, if we don't have enough water, there will be problems. Okay, so it's normally just carbohydrates, fats, and protein. But I don't know why scientists would leave it out, because carbohydrate can't be carbohydrates without water. See, because water is part of it. So Buddha says, may all that have life be delivered from suffering. Why did they say that? So why are we killing? Okay? So fat. So let's deal with fat. Why do our body need fat? Body fat is a normal constituent of the human body that serves the important function of storing energy as fat for metabolic demands. Obesity is an excess of body fat, frequently result in a significant impairment of health. So a lot of like in a few weeks, most people will be making resolution to go on a diet so they can lose weight. And after they lose the required amount of weight, they just go back to doing what they're doing again. Okay? And just as when you have in the religious world where they have Lent and people stop eating meat for that week or whatever time it is. So then, and I'm sure most of those Christians who is doing that period is such a great time in their lives because they are not consuming any meat. But then right afterwards again they go right back. But fat, as I'm speaking about, is a requirement because especially children who, like, see in the temple, you see some of them running around, they fall and they just get up and go. Fat is like a cushion in our body when we fall, right? So when you fall, the cushion helps to protect you from injuring your bones and so forth. So fat is not a bad thing, but there are fats and there are fats, yeah? So when we have to be careful with the type of fats that we consume, but there are good fats that we can consume. Okay, a vegan or vegetarian can meet our daily body requirement of nutrients by using the combined fruits and vegetable products to properly accumulate the proper nutrients. Use our food processor or blender to prepare our fruits and nuts and vegetables. Add a little avocado oil or as necessary. Avocado is one of the few fruits high in fat that is good for us on any and all occasions. So avocado is a fat, okay, and it's okay to eat it. There are no requirements to say you could only eat a half. You could eat avocado every day and it's beneficial to the body. It do have cholesterol, right? But it's still it's HDL, not LDL, so it's okay. All right. So
You would eat a whole avocado?
yeah, yeah. Cause, yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of cholesterol.
Well, I work it off. Yeah. Okay. Coconut oil and coconut is healthy to cook with. Though high in fat, other foods that contains healthy fats are granola and vegan yogurt. See, instead of buying like corn oil and those sort of things and granola oil, coconut oil is better, plus it gives your food a nice flavor, right, if you're interested in flavor. So those oil is just like, just put a little oil, heat the oil and then leave it there. After a while it solidify. So coconut oil will do the same thing because it's so the fat content. So that's why we don't have to use a lot of it. We just use enough. Yes.
They had on the news about coconut oil. They say the limit is 1 tablespoon a day.
That's if you're drinking it. That's if you're drinking
No,
it. No?
cooking it.
Cooking it?
Cooking it, definitely.
So-
they did a research and they say it will harm your body if you take more than 1 tablespoon a day.
Really?
Yes. That's why mine is just sitting there.
So you see, personally, I do have a little issue with that because my grandparents, they lived to in the 90s and they used to just use coconut oil, drink it, cook with it and whatever. Everything, they never bought lotion and so forth. They use the coconut oil for all those things. So how come it's a problem? And it's just, listen, maybe a year ago they were saying eggs is bad for you, right? Today they're saying that egg is okay. They're saying this was bad and now it's okay. So again, it depends on what. If they have too much of something, then they change it to say that they could, right? So it's just about supply and demand. See, because so much people is going away from the regular norm, so, and getting into coconut oils and so forth. So I personally, I think that's one of the reasons why they would be saying things like that. All right.
But that's
Okay.
what they say. It's good for the hands.
Yeah. Okay. So now, let me go back now to carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, right, are any of a large group of organic compounds occurring in foods and living tissues, and including sugar, starches, and cellulose. They contains hydrogen and oxygen in the same ratio as water. Yeah. So we have to have carbohydrates that, and typically can be broken down to release energy and in the body. The two main forms of carbohydrates are sugar, such as fructose, glucose, lactose, and starches, which are found in foods such as starchy vegetables like potatoes and corn, grains, rice, bread, and cereal. So we have to, in terms of box cereal, you know, lots of people, if you go to a supermarket, there's always so much cereal in boxes. Those we have to eliminate, okay, because it's processed and it contains more sugar than anything else. See, that's why I said earlier on, it's important to be an avid label reader, because most of the times they do not say sugar. They gave sugar so many different types of name, and most people, sometimes some of the things they put on the label, you have to have a great knowledge of Greek, right, or you're studying medicine to actually know what they're talking about. So we have to be very careful with the box cereal. See, it's easier to actually prepare your own cereal. And yeah, oatmeal, we should become, or all of us as vegetarian, we should be avid oatmeal eaters, because it's so healthy and it's all natural. So in any case, I got my signal again that the ceremony is over and we have to go in. So if I have said anything incorrectly or misquoted anything or offended anyone, I ask you and the Buddhas for forgiveness.